Alright, so in our last video we talked about equations and inequalities, and I said that I was going to make another video for word problems, so that's what this video is about. And our first problem here, we can see that it says Mrs. Lucas earns a salary of $24,000 a year plus 1.5% commission on her sales. If the average price of a car she sells is $30,500, about how many cars must she sell to make an annual income of at least $40,000? So, whenever you're reading a word problem like this, there's a couple things that you want to note. So, the first thing you want to know is just what do we know? So, we know that her salary is $24,000 a year. Next thing that we know is that she makes 1.5% commission on each car that is $30,500. And then lastly, we know that she needs to make at least $40,000. And this at least right here indicates an inequality. So it means that she needs to make at the very minimum $40,000, but she could make more. So next we want to find out what are we solving for here. So we can see that we want to know how many cars that she has to sell in order to make $40,000. So cars, or number of cars, is what we're solving for. So first we indicate what is our x. So our x is number of cars. So now we can take a look at our values here. So we see that she can make 1.5% commission on each car. That's $30,500. So what commission basically means is this is the percentage of this number that she is personally taking away from each sale. So we can write 1.5% as a decimal by moving the decimal place 2 places to the left. So that's how you write any percentage as a decimal, is you just move this little decimal place right here, boop, boop, and then put it right there, and you have your 0.015. Now we're going to multiply that by 30,500 in order to get how much money she makes for each car. So if we just take our calculator and we just do 30,500 times 0.015, we get $457.50 for each car. So I can write that down, 457.50. Now we know that she makes a baseline $24,000 a year, so it's going to be this number times X many cars that she sells plus our $24,000 baseline, because that's her salary. And a salary is basically, when you're a salesperson, a salary is just how much you make at being employed there, and then you get plus how much commission you make depending on how much you sell. And that number, it needs to be greater than or equal to $40,000, because at the very minimum it has to be $40,000, but it can be greater than that. So this is our answer to A right here, this inequality. Next, we are going to do B, which is basically solving the inequality for X, and that's going to tell us how many cars she needs to sell at minimum. So in order to solve this inequality, we'll first subtract our $24,000 to the other side. So 40 grand minus 24,000 gives us 16,000. So we're going to have $457.50 times X, or not equals, is greater than or equal to 16,000. Now we just divide our 457.50, and this is a positive number, so there's no directional change in the inequality, and we're going to get X is greater than or equal to this number. So let's do 16,000. And if you want, and this another cool thing about the TI-36X is instead of doing a divide, you can do a fraction bar right there, and then you can do over 457.50, and it looks exactly like it is on our paper here. Hit the equal sign, we get 34.97. Now, since this is a practical problem with whole numbers of cars, we need to round this value up because she can't sell 0.97 of a car. So the answer would be 35 cars. So it needs to be, so this is the answer, and what this means is that at the very minimum, she needs to sell 35 cars in order to make $40,000 in a given year. But if she sells more than that, then she's going to make more than $40,000. So that's our solution to our first problem. And I have one more problem here for us to do. So for this one, it says, Jordan's scores on the first 4 of 5 100-point tests were 85, 91, 89, and 94. If a grade of at least 90 is an A, find an inequality to find the score he must get on the 5th test to get an overall A in the class. Solve the inequality. So again, we're just going to be finding the inequality and solving it. So what do we know? We know that he's taken 4 of 5 100-point tests, and these are the scores on the first 4. We know that a grade of at least 90 is an A, and we have to find the score. So X, in this case, is going to be our score on the 5th test. So what we have to use here in this case is a mean. Now a mean, the definition of a mean is the sum of all of the values over the number of values that there are. So in this case, we know that there are 5 total tests, and we know the first 4 scores. So the first 4 scores were 85 plus 91 plus 89 plus 94, and then plus X, because X is our score on the 5th test. Now this has to be greater than or equal to 90 because he has to get at least a 90. It could be greater because if he got, let's say like a really high score on this, maybe there was some bonus credit, he got like 105%, he'd probably get more than a 90%. But we just have to know the minimum grade that he needs to get. So this is our answer for A. This is our inequality here. Oops, sorry. So now we're going to solve this inequality. So in order to solve this inequality, first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of the 5 here. So we need to multiply that 5 to both sides. So when we multiply that 5 to both sides, at the same time we can also add up all these values. So let's do that. So 85 plus 91 plus 89 plus 94 is 359. So on the left side here, we're going to have 359 plus x is greater than or equal to 90 times 5, because we're going to multiply the 5 to both sides, and that'll give us 450. And you can do that on your calculator like this. But one really cool thing about multiplying two numbers where one of them has a 0 following it is you just do 9 times 5 and then you just add that 0 on. So if you were to do, let's say you were going to do 3 times 50, then you just do 3 times 5 and then add the 0. So you get 15 and then add a 0, you get 150. And you could do that with any number or any situation like this, and that's just one of those shortcuts. But there's nothing wrong with using a calculator. I even, on my tests, I'll still check with a calculator just to make sure. So now we're going to subtract our 359 over here. So 450 minus 359, and that's going to give us 91. So x is greater than or equal to 91. Now you can do this in the calculator again. And you see it's 91, but how I'm able to do that so fast is another trick. So if you see a number that's 450 minus 359, then you could do 450 minus 350, which we know is 100, and then you just subtract the extra 9 from that, and we get 91. So that's another really cool, quick trick for doing fast math. But again, nothing wrong with using the calculator, and I would encourage using the calculator too, because it helps to check our answers. And but practice the mental math though, because it really does help us be faster with these problems. But I hope that these two word problems helps you guys understand these concepts a little bit more. Let me know if you need more of this kind of stuff. But we're going to move on from here. And in our next video, we're going to be talking about linear relations and functions. So we're going to talk about stuff like, well, we're going to talk about functions, and then we're going to talk about, slope intercept, standard form, point slope form, and graphing different kinds of functions. So stay tuned for that, and that video will be coming out very soon. And I hope this helped. Thank you.